Hello everyone, myself Engineer Amul Gadde, lecturer from the Department of Civil Engineering, Praveen Patil College of Diploma Engineering and the rest. So today we are going to start with a new chapter, that is fourth chapter of your geotechnical engineering, which named as bearing capacity of soil. This particular chapter weighted 16 marks in your syllabus. So the total chapter was basically differentiated into three different units. So starting with very first unit, bearing capacity and theory of earth pressure. So starting with concept of bearing capacity. All structures, whether they are building, bridges, dams, etc., are built on soils. The load of structures are transmitted to the underlying soils through the base of foundation. This transmitted load compresses the soil small to greater depth depending upon the load and type of soil. This effect of settlement counted may extend from 1.5 to 2 times at least width of foundation. The effect of load move the soil particles downward and outward, as a result of which the foundation settles. In dense sand or stiff clay, the lateral movement of particle is more than vertical movement. In loose sand or soft clay, the vertical movement of soil particle is more. Earthen embankment used for road or railway may fail. The failure of embankment may be due to shear failure or due to settlement. So it is clear that the failure of structures depend upon the safety of soil against its failure in shear and excessive settlement. It means that the soil should be rated according to their capacity to bear. So here the concept of bearing capacity arises, which means the ability of soil to be bear load per unit area rises safely without displacement. If the load is equal to or less than that the bearing value, then the load is called as safe load. If the load coming on the soil and bearing value of soil reaches at the same time, or the load is at average of failure, then load is called as ultimate load. So starting with some basic definitions. Very first one is ultimate bearing capacity. The ultimate bearing capacity is the gross pressure at the base of foundation at which the soil feels in shear. This is also sometimes called the ultimate bearing value or ultimate bearing pressure, which is denoted by QU. Second one is net ultimate bearing capacity. It is the net increase in pressure at the base of foundation that causes the shear failure of soil. It is equal to the gross pressure minus overburden pressure, and which is written by QNU, where QNU is equal to QU minus gamma dF, where QU is ultimate bearing capacity, gamma is unit weight of foundation soil, and dF is depth of foundation. Third definition is safe bearing capacity, that is QS. The maximum pressure which the soil can carry without risk of failure is called as safe bearing capacity. So QS is written by ultimate bearing capacity upon factor of safety. Next one is net safe bearing capacity, that is QNS. It is the net soil pressure which can be safely applied to the soil considering only shear failure. It is obtained by dividing the net ultimate bearing capacity by a suitable factor of safety. Thus, QNS is written as net ultimate bearing capacity upon factor of safety, where factor of safety is usually taken as 3.0. Gross safe bearing capacity. It is the maximum gross pressure which the soil can carry safely without shear failure. It is equal to the net safe bearing capacity plus the original overburden pressure. Thus QS can be written as QNS plus gamma dF. Sixth one is allowable bearing pressure. It is the net loading intensity at which neither the soil feels in shear nor there is excessive settlement of structure. Seventh one is net allowable bearing pressure. The net allowable bearing pressure is the net bearing pressure which can be used for the design of foundation. As the requirements for the design of foundation are that there should be no shearing values or no shearing failures, and moreover settlement should be within the limits. The allowable bearing pressure is the smaller of the net safe bearing capacity QNS. Moving further to Terzaghis analysis and assumptions made, an analysis of condition of complete bearing capacity failure, usually termed as general shear failure, was made by Terzaghi by assuming that the total soil behave like an ideally plastic material. This figure shows us shallow footing in which depth D is equal to the less than the weight B of the footing. The loaded soil fields along a surface A, B, C, B, A, A1, B1, A1. So there are three zones of it. Zone 1 is triangular wedge of soil just below the footing. Zone 2 is zone of radial shear. Zone 3 is zone of linear shear. So there are three zones. Terzaghi gave the certain equations like QF is equal to CNC plus CNC plus gamma D N Q plus 0.5 gamma B N gamma, where B is width of footing, D is depth of footing, C is cohesion, gamma is unit weight of foundation soil, and F is factor of safety. In above equation, soil properties are such that a side downward movement of footing develops fully plastic zone and the soil bulges out. It is also known as general shear failure. According to Terzaghi analysis, bearing capacity equation depend upon nature of failure, because as failure is of three types: general shear failure, local shear failure, and punching shear failure. So starting with general shear failure, this failure occurs in sandy soil with relative density greater than 70%. The failure is accompanied by the appearance of failure at sand surface and the considerable bulging of shredded mass of sand. This failure is happened suddenly. This type of failure is designated as general shear failure by Terzaghi as shown in figure. Here you can see general shear failure, which gives us an equation of QF, which is equal to CNC gamma D N Q plus 0.5 gamma B N gamma. Second type is local shear failure. When the relative density of sand lies between 35 to 70%, then the failure is not sudden failure. This failure is accompanied by appearance of failure surface at the sand surface with less bulging. This type of failure is known as local shear failure, shown in figure. The Terzaghi equation for local shear failure is QF, which is equal to 2 by 3 CNC plus gamma DNQ plus 0.5 gamma BNQ. Instead of N, we write N dash C, N dash Q, N dash R are bearing capacity factors. QF is ultimate bearing capacity, QS is safe bearing capacity, C is cohesion, and F is factor of safety. Third type is punching shear failure. Foundation on relatively loose sand with relative density less than 35%. Foundation penetrate in the soil without any bulging of the sand surface as shown in figure. Talking about assumptions made in Terzaghi analysis, Terzaghi gave a general theory for the bearing capacity of soils under a strip footing, making certain assumptions. The soil is homogeneous and isotropic, and its shear strength is represented by Coulomb's equation. The strip footing has rough base and the problem is essentially two-dimensional. The shear strength of soil above the base of footing is neglected. The soil above the base is replaced by uniform surcharge gamma dF. The load on footing is vertical and is uniformly distributed. The footing is long, that is L by B ratio is infinite, where B is the width and L is the length of footing. The elastic zone has straight boundaries inclined as phi is equals to phi, psi is equals to phi to the horizontal, and the plastic zone fully developed. Passive pressure consists of three components which can be calculated separately and added although the critical surface for this component. Here is the effect of water table on bearing capacity. When the water table is above the base of the footing, the submerged weight gamma should be used for the soil below the water table for determining the effective pressure for surcharge. When the water table is located somewhat below the base of the footing, the elastic wedge is partly of moist soil and partly of submerged soil, and a suitable reduction factor should be used with the wedge term half gamma Bn gamma. Since it uses effective unit weight as a thumb rule, this term may be reduced to half if the water table is just at the base of the footing, and no reduction to be made if the water table is at the depth equal to the width of the footing below the base of footing. For intermediate positions, linear interpolation of the reduction be made. So now starting with field methods for determining bearing capacity. Very first method is analytical method involving the use of soil parameters. Second one is plate load test on soil, and third one is penetration test. Fourth one is presumption bearing capacity value from code or IS code. In which second test, that is plate load test, is carried out nearby the Mira road, in between Mira road and Mahindra, for our metro project. So starting with plate load test. The plate load test is an excellent method of determining bearing capacity of soil and probable settlement under a given loading. The test essentially consists in loading a rigid plate called as bearing plate at the foundation level and determining the settlement corresponding to each load increment. The ultimate bearing capacity is taken as the load at which the plate starts sinking at a rapid rate. The test pit, having width equal to 5 times the width of the bearing plate, is dug up to a depth of the proposed foundation. Plate size may vary in width from 300 mm to 750 mm and 25 mm thick. The loading to the test plate may be applied with the help of a hydraulic jack. The reaction of the hydraulic jack may be borne by either of the following two methods: by gravity loading platform method or by reaction truss method. In case of gravity loading method, a platform is constructed over a vertical column resting on the test plate, and the loading is done with the help of the sandbag, stone, concrete block, which shown in figure also. So here the loading is done by sandbag, below which planks are placed, below which hoist is kept. Two masonry supports are also given to there, and in a hole or in a excavation placed test plate which attached to dial gauges, datum bar, and loading post by hydraulic jack is posted over there. When load is applied to the plate, it sinks or settles. The settlement of the plate is measured with the help of sensitive dial gauge, and for square plate, two dial gauge. The gauges are mounted on independently supported datum bar. As the plate settles, the ram of the dial gauge moves down and settlement is recorded. The load is indicated on the load gauge of the hydraulic jack. The figure shows the arrangement when a reaction of jack is borne by a reaction truss. The truss is held to the ground through soil anchors. These anchors are firmly driven in soil with the help of hammers. The reaction truss is usually made up of mild steel section. Gauge ropes are used for the lateral stability of the truss. So starting with the procedure and limitations. First let's start with procedure. The site where testing is to be done is selected. A test pit at least 5 times the diameter of the width of the plate up to a depth of proposed foundation level is dug. The plate is seated firmly at the center of the pit. The dead load of all equipment ball and socket, steel plate column loading jackets is recorded before applying the load increment. A minimum sitting pressure of 70 grams per centimeter cube is applied and removed before starting the load test. A minimum load is applied to the soil in cumulative increment up to 1 kg per centimeter square or 1/5 of the estimated ultimate bearing capacity, whichever is lower. The settlement is observed after each load increment at 1, 2.25, 4, 6.25, 9.16, 3 minutes and thereafter at hourly intervals and is recorded. The recording is stopped when the increase in settlement is only 0.02 mm. The procedure is repeated after every increment in load. The observation is plotted on the log scale. The settlement is plotted on y-axis and load in kg per meter square is plotted in x-axis. From this plot, the ultimate bearing capacity is determined. The plate load test set is for gravity type loading. Here are some limitations also of plate load test. Very first one is size effect. The actual settlement may vary from the plate whether same pressure is applied. Time effect, as duration of test is small, it does not give the ultimate settlement with respect to long time. Layer effect, if foundation is large, accurate result cannot be obtained by test. Here is the another one diagram which shows us instead of girder and sandbags, we put here reaction truss by which the load is applied with the help of channel strap and crook girder. Indian Standard Code IS 1888-1962 recommends us that the loading on the plate should be inversely to be borne either by gravity loading platform or by the reaction truss. The use of the reaction truss is more popular nowadays since this is simple, quick and less clumsy. So test procedure for this: before placing the bearing plate, the pit should be leveled and spread a layer of sand in the pit floor. Bearing plate should be placed carefully. A vertical column is erected over the bearing plate. Mild steel plate and wooden plates are placed over it. Sandbags are placed over wooden platform to transmit the load to bearing plate in the case of gravity loading. For reaction truss, it should be borne by some same truss arrangement. Loads are applied in increment of 1/10 of estimated failure load. Each increment is made constant. Settlement readings are made at regular interval of 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 14, 60 minutes until the rate of settlement becomes less than about 0.02 mm per hour. The ultimate bearing capacity is taken as the load with the plate starting sinking at a rapid rate. The result of plate load tests are plotted between settlement and the load intensity as shown in figure. The value of load intensity at X is known as ultimate bearing capacity. Moving further to limitations of plate load test. The test is of short duration and long-term consolidation settlement does not fully occur during the test. For estimation of settlement, its use is limited to sandy soil or unsaturated clay soil. The stress distribution zone is only up to 1.5 to 2 times the width of plate below the plate level. That is about 60 centimeter below plate for a plate size of 30 centimeter. However, for actual foundation, this is up to a considerable depth. If any soft strata is present below a depth of 60 centimeter from plate level, it will not be indicated in the test. An apparent high value of bearing capacity be obtained. Hence, if the stratum is not homogeneous to a depth 1.5 to 2 times the width of foundation, plate load test is not suitable. Extrapolation of test result to soil actual foundation may introduce inaccuracies. It is not practicable to provide a reaction more than 250 kN. Hence, the test on plate size larger than 0.6 meter width is difficult. The level of the water table affects the bearing capacity of sandy soils. If the water table is above the level of the footing, it has to be lowered by pumping before placing the plate. The test should be performed at the water table level if it is within about 1 meter below the footing.